Hey food lovers! In this episode I am making coconut cookies, and as you see in the ingredients, there is no butter. Heavy cream is the fat that's used in this cookie. That's why they are coconut cream cookies. So the first step is to get the eggs beaten until they are light. And I have my bowl secured on a silicone pot holder just so that it won't move around when I'm running the mixer. Then the recipe instructs to gradually add in the sugar, and it is 1 cup. Once that's blended well together, I add in the coconut, mix that up a bit because it can get a little bit stuck together, and then the heavy cream. And just make sure I have no unmixed bits hiding from me along the side. Then to sift together the dry ingredients. So we've got flour and baking powder. And I'm only going to sift the first cup and a half, because that should get the baking powder dispersed pretty well. And it's 3 teaspoons of baking powder, so these are going to puff up when they go in the oven. And a teaspoon of salt, and because it's kosher salt, it will not fit through the sieve. I'm just going to put that into the wet batter. And then mix it on a very low speed so that I don't develop any gluten and keep the cookies tender. You can see it's just on number 1. That's the lowest level. And I'm not even going to thoroughly mix it with the mixer. I'm going to stop and then do the rest by hand. Get all the goodness off of the blades. I love this long, slender spatula. It's good for things like this, but it's also good for blenders like a Vitamix. It gets right down to the bottom and gets everything out very easily. It's a great tool. And it just needs a very few more turns around, and then all the flour will be combined. And this has to sit in the fridge and get very cold. This is quite a wet cookie dough, so that flour will hydrate nicely. Alright, it's been about 4 hours, and I'm going to check the temperature and make sure that it's under 50 degrees. Really, it should be closer to 40. And I have it at as low as about 48 when I was checking the temperature. I can't always tell by touching it, so I like to use the thermometer. But it's in the 40s, so I'm going to go ahead and get rolling. And I always roll on a pastry cloth. If you've seen any of my other videos, you know that. And this will help me turn the dough around without going back and forth too much, creating gluten. So put down quite a bit of flour because it is quite wet. Because there's no butter in it, it won't get as firm as regular cookie dough. don't really think this should be a rolled cookie. I feel like it should be dropped by spoonfuls, but I'm following the instructions. A little more flour just to keep the rolling pin from sticking. Now she says to roll it out to a 1/2 inch thickness. So I'm right about there. And then sprinkle over coconut and roll it some more to press that coconut in, and then it should be down to 1/4 of an inch, and it's going to puff up, that's why it's so thin. And she said use a small cutter, and I think my smallest would be considered mini, so I'm going to go up a size. A lot of times I'll just use a drinking glass. I have all different sizes that I can use for this. But I put extra flour right next to the dough because it is so wet. I have to dip every single time or it will stick. And then there they are on this sheet. You see how wet the dough is, but I did get a pretty good cut from them. And they're done. It doesn't say how long to bake. I would be remiss if I did not tell you, as a true coconut lover, the best coconut cookie is in this Great Cookies book by Carol Walter. It is a apricot coconut cookie. It is buttery, melts in the mouth, and I make it twice a year, every year since I've had this for 15 years. And there's other good coconut cookie recipes in there, and actually every recipe in this book is fantastic of the 40 that I have made, or maybe it's 42. I forget how many at last count, but I highly recommend this book if you love to make cookies. She's got lots of European traditional cookies and then things I would consider more modern Americana style. Absolutely fantastic. So the cookies are out of the oven and they are almost a cakey cookie. They're very soft. They have a delicate coconut flavor, and I do like them, but I will recommend doing a drop style and not rolling them because it really just is not made to be rolled. It's not a nice firm sugar cookie dough. So that is this episode's recipe. Please click like if you enjoyed it. I have the recipe in the description as well as some of the things that I use when I'm cooking if you're interested in having them in your own kitchen. And I will see you again next week. Bye.